What if the very thing you are desperately trying to build a wall of absolute certainty to keep yourself safe is the exact thing making you feel so anxious and exhausted? Most of your suffering is not caused by the fact that the future is unknown. It is caused by how tightly you are gripping the steering wheel, trying to force the road to go exactly where you want it to. If you have ever felt paralyzed by what comes next, if you have ever lost sleep trying to solve tomorrow's problems today, or if you feel a constant, heavy vibration of fear beneath your skin, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. We spend so much of our time trying to predict the unpredictable. We believe that if we just think hard enough, if we plan perfectly, if we anticipate every possible betrayal, failure, or heartbreak, we will finally feel safe. We replay conversations, trying to decode hidden meanings. We worry about where our lives will be in a year, or 5 years, or 10. We cling to relationships that feel empty, or jobs that drain our spirit, simply because the pain we know feels safer than the blank canvas we do not. But have you ever noticed the cruel irony of this? It never actually works. The more you try to control the future, the more unsafe you feel. The more you rehearse tragedy, the more exhausted you become. Buddhist wisdom teaches a profound, though sometimes difficult, truth. Attachment to certainty is one of the deepest roots of human suffering. We suffer because we demand that life remain fixed, predictable, and solid, when the very nature of existence is flowing, shifting, and impermanent. In Buddhist thought, the illusion of safety is the belief that we can arrange the external world perfectly enough to avoid inner discomfort. But true safety is never found in knowing exactly what happens next. True safety is found in your ability to hold your own hand when you do not know. Imagine standing on the shore of a dark, wide river. The water is fast, deep, and unpredictable. Terrified of the current, you sit on the mud and begin trying to build a bridge. Out of dry leaves and fragile twigs, you obsess over every leaf. You calculate the wind. You exhaust yourself trying to engineer a way across without ever having to touch the wild water. But a single gust of wind, a single unpredictable wave, and your fragile bridge is swept away. We do this with our minds every single day. We build fragile bridges of what-ifs and if-onlys, hoping they will protect us from the river of uncertainty. But the river keeps flowing. The nature of water is to move, and the nature of life is to change. Think about your own life. What happens when the ground shifts beneath your feet? Your mind panics. It sounds a loud alarm, telling you that the unknown is a threat. It tells you that if you do not worry, you are being irresponsible. If you do not figure it out right this second, everything will collapse. And in that panic, you abandon the present moment. You leave yourself alone in the here and now, sprinting into an imagined, catastrophic future to fight ghosts that do not yet exist. Pause. Breathe. Observe this fear without following it. Ask yourself, what are you afraid will happen if you simply admit you do not know the way right now? Is this desperate need for an answer actually bringing you peace, or is it just feeding your fear? You do not need to have the rest of your life mapped out today. You do not even need to have tomorrow perfectly solved. You are allowed to not know, because peace is not something you chase by filling in all the blanks. It is something you make space for by learning to stand securely in the unknown. But recognizing this illusion of control is only the first step, and this is where the next truth begins. Because beneath every desperate attempt to control the future is a quiet, tragic way we abandon ourselves in the present. 2. Why we abandon ourselves in the face of uncertainty. Here is a truth few people want to face. The most painful part of not knowing what comes next is not the uncertainty itself. It is the way you leave yourself entirely alone in the middle of it. When the path ahead gets blurry, our first instinct is to run. When a phase of life ends with no clear new beginning, when a relationship feels fragile, or when you are waiting for news that could change everything, the mind goes into overdrive. We panic, but instead of turning inward to offer ourselves comfort, we completely abandon our own presence. We look for validation from everyone around us. We obsessively seek solutions to problems that have not even arrived. We scroll through endless distractions. We overwork, we people please, or we try to force an answer from a silent sky. We treat our own confusion as a failure. We treat ourselves as a problem that must be solved immediately, rather than a living being going through a difficult moment, who simply needs a quiet space to breathe. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering multiplies the moment we disconnect from our own presence. One of the deepest lessons of mindfulness is that true refuge is always found within, right in the center of your own awareness. When you run from the present moment because it feels unsafe, you scatter your energy into the wind. You become a ghost in your own life. Non-attachment is not about becoming cold, distant, or uncaring. It is about untying your inner peace from the unpredictable conditions of the outside world. When you abandon yourself to chase a guarantee about the future, you lose the only place where true stability actually exists, the here and now. Imagine a small boat navigating a vast, dark ocean. The sky turns heavy with clouds, and the water begins to rise and churn. The captain of the boat becomes so terrified of the storm that instead of staying at the helm, instead of holding the wheel steady and trusting the vessel, they panic. They dive out of the boat into the freezing, chaotic water, desperately trying to push the violent waves away. With their bare hands, they leave the ship completely empty. We do this every time we face the unknown. We face the fear of failing at work, the terrifying silence of being ignored, or the heavy pressure of feeling behind in life. And instead of staying in the vessel of our own mind and body, we jump into the chaos. We try to control the external waves, other people's actions, the timing of success, the exact shape of tomorrow. We try to push the ocean away. And all the while, our own ship is left untended, tossing violently in the dark, entirely without a captain. Think about your own life. When the feeling of not knowing strikes, where does your attention go? Do you stay with yourself, offering patience and calm, or do you immediately abandon ship, fighting an ocean you cannot control? What are you afraid will happen if you simply sit in the boat and let the storm rage outside of you? Stop. Breathe. Let that sink in. The next time the panic of the unknown rises, do not rush to fix the outside world. Stay in your body. Notice the fear, but do not jump overboard to fight it. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You are not the turbulent water. You are the quiet observer at the wheel. Because true safety is not found by magically calming the ocean. It is found by promising yourself that you will not leave the wheel, no matter how wild the water gets. But staying at the helm requires us to accept a profound and difficult reality about the nature of the ocean itself. And this is where the next truth begins, because beneath our fear of the water is a fundamental misunderstanding of what the ground actually is. 3. The Buddhist truth of groundlessness. What if the solid ground you are so desperately trying to find does not actually exist? We spend our entire lives looking for a permanent place to stand, a guaranteed path, a relationship that will never change, a flawless blueprint for the future. We believe that if we can just plant our feet on something unshakable, the anxiety of life will finally disappear. But when life inevitably forces us into a sudden transition, when a chapter closes, when a comfortable routine shatters, or when we are stuck in the quiet waiting room of the unknown, we experience a terrifying sensation. We feel like we are falling. In our panic, we grasp at the air, desperately reaching for anything, a rushed decision, an empty distraction, a forced answer just to stop the terrible feeling of freefall. Buddhist wisdom teaches a profound truth that is both intimidating and deeply liberating: the reality of groundlessness. In Buddhist thought, everything is in a constant, unbroken state of flux. Impermanence is not a mistake in the universe. It is the very fabric of reality itself. The suffering you feel during uncertain times is not because you are failing to find solid ground. You suffer because you are demanding solid ground in a universe that is entirely fluid. Imagine a bird resting on the branch of a high tree. For its whole life, the bird has clung tightly to this one branch, believing the wood is the only safe place in the world. But one day, a storm rolls in and snaps the branch. The bird begins to fall. Paralyzed by fear, it flaps wildly, clawing at the empty air, trying to grab onto falling leaves, terrified of the invisible ground below. The bird exhausts itself fighting the fall, but the bird has forgotten its own nature. It does not need the branch to be safe. It only needs to open its wings and trust the open air. We are just like that bird. When an old identity crumbles, when an unexpected failure forces us to start over, or when a long period of loneliness sets in, we flail. We reach out for anything to make us feel secure again, a habit that numbs us, the approval of strangers, or a frantic attempt to force a loved one to act a certain way. We are terrified because our familiar branch is gone. We think the loss of our structure is the absolute loss of our safety. Think about your own life. What branch are you currently mourning? What falling leaves are you desperately trying to catch? Are you exhausting yourself trying to build a solid floor out of thin air? What if you are not actually falling? What if you are simply in the open sky? Stop. Breathe. Observe the panic without letting it command you. The next time you feel the floor drop out from under you, do not tense up. Do not grab at the wind. You cannot force the broken branch back onto the tree. Do your part, then release the outcome. Let the feeling of groundlessness exist without trying to immediately cure it. You do not need solid ground to be okay. The space between where you were and where you are going is not a void designed to break you. It is simply the open sky. But learning to open your wings in that terrifying empty space requires a shift in how we treat our own discomfort. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the uncomfortable space between chapters is not an enemy you need to defeat. 4. Befriending the uncomfortable space between. What if the waiting room of your life is not a punishment, but a quiet preparation? Here is the truth we often ignore. We are so obsessed with arriving at the next destination that we treat the space in between as an enemy. When one chapter ends and the next has not yet begun, we feel a terrible restlessness. You end a relationship, you leave a job, you move to a new city, or you simply realize you have outgrown your current life. Suddenly, you are in the gap, the uncomfortable, silent, agonizing gap. We hate this space. We feel stuck, anxious, and invisible. We believe that because nothing external is happening, our life is somehow falling apart. So, we rush. We force decisions. We settle for the wrong things just to have something, anything, to hold on to, simply because we cannot stand the terrible quiet of waiting. Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace is found in deep, radical acceptance of the present moment, no matter what that moment looks like. We suffer because we constantly argue with reality. We tell ourselves, I should be further along by now, or this silence means I am failing. But in Buddhist thought, emptiness is not a dead void. It is a space of boundless potential. The pause before the next breath is just as vital as the breath itself. Mindfulness asks us to stop resisting the space between. It asks us to look closely at the waiting and see it not as a prison, but as a quiet sanctuary. Imagine a tiny seed planted deep beneath the earth. It is surrounded entirely by darkness. It is heavy, cold, and utterly silent. If the seed had a human mind, it would panic. It would think it was buried alive. It would try to fight the soil, desperate to force its way into the sunlight before it was ready. And if a gardener dug it up every single day just to check if it was growing, the seed would die. It needs the uncomfortable, quiet, dark. The darkness is not a tomb. It is a womb. It is the exact environment required to build a root system strong enough to survive the storm once it finally reaches the sky. We are just like that seed. We live in a world of constant comparison, where we see everyone else blooming in the sunlight. We see the promotions, the relationships, the milestones, and we feel the heavy soil of our own waiting pressing down on us. The pressure to succeed makes us feel like our own darkness is a punishment for falling behind. Think about your own life. What are you desperately trying to rush? What quiet phase are you treating as a failure? Are you constantly digging yourself up to check on your progress, refusing to let your own roots take hold? Stop trying to force the door open. Pause. Breathe. Sit with the uncomfortable quiet. Let the feeling of being stuck rise, but do not make it your identity. You are not stuck. You are planted. Because true growth does not only happen in the brilliant, easy light of the sun. It happens in the heavy, silent dark. But sitting still in that darkness, resisting the urge to claw your way out, requires a shift in how we understand our own strength. And this is where the next truth begins. Because staying with yourself in the unknown demands a very specific kind of bravery. 5. Courage as presence, not the absence of fear. What if courage has absolutely nothing to do with feeling brave? Most people do not realize how much of their life is spent waiting for the perfect conditions to begin. We look at the vast, unknown future and feel a sudden, sharp tightness in our chest. We feel the trembling in our hands. And immediately, we tell ourselves a story. I am not ready. I am too afraid. We believe that to face uncertainty without abandoning ourselves, we must first conquer our fear entirely. We wait for a magical day when our anxiety will vanish. We stay in draining relationships. We remain silent during conflicts. And we avoid stepping onto an unfamiliar path simply because the fear has not left yet. We think the trembling means we are weak. But here is the truth. The fear will never leave as long as you are growing. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true courage is never the elimination of fear. It is the willingness to be completely present with it. In Buddhist thought, attempting to destroy or banish a painful emotion only gives it more power over you. Fear is not an enemy to be defeated. It is simply a natural human energy, a passing weather system of the mind. The practice of mindfulness asks us to stop treating our fear as a failure. Courage is simply the quiet, powerful decision to say, I am terrified, and I will not leave myself alone. It is about inviting the fear in, making space for it, rather than trying to lock it out in the cold. Imagine a solitary mountain standing quietly as a violent winter storm approaches. The mountain does not panic. It does not try to hold the heavy snow back with invisible hands. It does not try to push the fierce, howling wind away. The mountain simply stands. It allows the storm to wash over its jagged peaks. It lets the freezing snow cover its surface. The mountain is fully present for the storm, yet the mountain itself is never broken by the weather. It knows the storm is not permanent, but its own presence is. We spend so much of our lives trying to fight the weather. When we face the heavy pressure of an uncertain career move, the fear of deep emotional intimacy, or the terrifying silence of an unanswered question, we try to fight the wind. We think that if we feel anxious, we are somehow failing. We run away from our own internal storms, distracting ourselves or demanding immediate answers, abandoning our true selves, just to escape the uncomfortable chill of feeling afraid. Think about your own life. What step are you avoiding simply because you are waiting for the fear to finally go away? What if the fear is not a stop sign, but simply the weather you must walk through? Are you fighting the wind instead of remembering you are the mountain? Stop. Breathe. Feel the trembling in your hands. You do not have to be perfectly calm to be brave. Let the feeling rise without making it your master. Do your part, then release the demand for fearlessness. Walk forward with the fear, rather than waiting for it to leave. Let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Because true courage is simply holding your own hand while you are terrified. It is the promise that you will stay with yourself, even when you tremble. But feeling the fear without being destroyed by it is a delicate art. And this is where the next truth begins. Because we so often confuse feeling the fear with letting the fear write a tragic script for our future. 6. Dropping the need to rehearse tragedy. Here is a strange kind of freedom. You do not have to suffer before the suffering arrives. We have a tragic habit of pre-suffering. When we step into the unknown, our minds immediately rush to paint the darkest possible picture. We convince ourselves that by imagining the worst-case scenario, we are somehow protecting ourselves. We rehearse the breakup, the job loss, the rejection, or the failure. We play these painful movies on a loop in our heads, believing that if we can just anticipate the heartbreak, it will not hurt as much when it finally comes. We drain today's joy to pay for tomorrow's imaginary grief. But here is the truth. Rehearsing tragedy does not protect you from the pain. It only guarantees that you will live through the tragedy twice. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind is an exquisite tool, but a terrible master. We suffer because we mistake our anxious thoughts for ultimate reality. In Buddhist thought, a thought is just a passing phenomenon, like a cloud in the sky, but we attach ourselves to the darkest clouds and let them dictate our entire inner climate. We forget that the mind is a meaning-making machine, and in the absence of certainty, it will invent disasters just to have something concrete to look at. Mindfulness teaches us to gently step back. It asks us to observe the mind's anxious projections without immediately believing them. Imagine a person walking through a beautiful, wide, sunlit field. It is a perfect day. But instead of feeling the warmth on their skin, they are wearing a heavy, soaked raincoat and carrying a massive steel umbrella. They walk with their shoulders hunched, squinting at the clear blue sky, absolutely terrified of a violent thunderstorm that does not exist. They are so busy bracing for the rain that they completely miss the sun. They carry the crushing weight of a storm that only lives in their imagination. We carry that same umbrella every single day. We do this in our relationships when things are going perfectly well, yet we constantly search for subtle signs that the person is going to leave us. We do it at work when one small mistake sends our minds spiraling into a vision of total ruin. We do it in the quiet moments of life when we refuse to relax, holding our breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. We exhaust ourselves bracing for an imaginary storm. Think about your own life. How many disasters have you survived in your mind that never actually happened in reality? How much of your current emotional exhaustion is just the heavy raincoat you refuse to take off? Are you suffering right now, or are you just suffering in your imagination? Pause. Breathe. Observe the catastrophic thought without following it down the spiral. The next time your mind begins to rehearse a tragedy, do not fight the thought, but do not buy a ticket to its theater. Let the feeling rise, but gently remind yourself, this is not happening right now. You do not need to solve a problem that has not yet arrived. Put the heavy umbrella down, because preparing for the worst does not prevent the worst. It only prevents you from experiencing the peace of the present. But stepping out of this mental rehearsal requires us to find a new place to rest our attention, And this is where the next truth begins. Because when the world outside feels like it is spinning completely out of control, you must know exactly where to drop your anchor. 7. Reclaiming your inner anchor when the world spins. What if the chaos around you is not the reason you feel so lost, but rather where you are choosing to look for stability? When life begins to spin wildly out of control, our natural instinct is to grab onto anything within reach. When our plans shatter, when someone we love pulls away, when a career suddenly derails, or when the sheer volume of life's demands becomes deafening, we desperately try to stop the room from spinning. But we usually do this by trying to control the outside world. We try to force a partner to give us immediate reassurance. We try to manipulate the outcome of a situation. We seek immediate comfort in empty distractions, endless scrolling, or the fleeting opinions of others. We attach our entire sense of safety to temporary things, demanding that the unpredictable world stop moving so we can finally catch our breath. But here is the truth. The world will never stop moving. Buddhist wisdom teaches a profound lesson about the nature of true refuge. We suffer because we anchor our peace to the shifting sands of external conditions. In Buddhist thought, attaching your inner stability to anything outside of yourself, a job title, a specific relationship, a guaranteed outcome, is a guarantee of eventual suffering. Because all external things are impermanent, they will inevitably change. True mindfulness asks us to stop looking for a calm harbor in the outside world, and instead discover the unbreakable stillness that already exists deep within our own awareness. Imagine a great, heavy ship caught in a massive, violent hurricane. The surface of the ocean is pure chaos. The wind screams, the rain crashes, and violent waves toss everything in their path. If the captain tries to anchor the ship by throwing a rope around a piece of floating driftwood, the ship will still be violently dragged by the storm. To survive, the anchor cannot be attached to the surface. It must be dropped deep, miles below the crashing waves, all the way down to the quiet, dark, unshakable floor of the ocean. At the very bottom, beneath the frenzy of the storm, the water is perfectly still. We spend so much of our lives tying our anchor to floating driftwood. We attach our peace of mind to a boss's unpredictable approval. We tie our sense of safety to a perfectly mapped-out 5-year plan. We anchor our self-worth to someone else's passing mood. And when the storms of life hit, when those temporary things inevitably shift, break, or float away, we are violently dragged into the chaos, wondering why we feel so unsafe. Think about your own life. What fragile, temporary thing have you tied your inner peace to right now? Whose reaction are you waiting for before you allow yourself to feel okay? Are you exhausting yourself trusting a piece of floating driftwood to hold you steady in a hurricane? Stop, breathe, bring your attention back to your own center. The next time you feel the panic of the unknown, do not reach outward. Drop your anchor deeper. Let the external chaos roar. Let the feeling of uncertainty crash on the surface. You do not need to silence the storm. You only need to sink beneath it. Find the quiet breath in your own chest. Observe the panic, but remember that you are the deep water, because true safety is never found by controlling the weather outside. It is found by securing yourself to the stillness within. But dropping this anchor requires us to completely change our relationship with the darkness of the unknown. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the vast, unpredictable future is not an empty void designed to swallow you. 8. The metaphor of the night sky and the single step. What if you do not need to see the entire staircase to finally allow yourself to move? Most of us are paralyzed not by the step immediately in front of us, but by our desperate obsession with seeing the entire mile ahead. When we face the heavy veil of the unknown, our mind immediately demands a floodlight. We want total, blinding illumination. We want a guarantee that if we bravely walk away from an unfulfilling relationship, we will not end up alone forever. We want absolute certainty that if we surrender our current comfort, the new path will lead directly to success. If we cannot see the final destination clearly, we refuse to take even one step. We stand completely frozen in the present, abandoning our own life, simply because the future refuses to hand us a detailed map. We mistake a lack of visibility for a profound lack of safety. But here is the truth. The floodlight you are waiting for does not exist. Buddhist wisdom teaches the gentle but powerful practice of radical presence. We suffer because our mind lives 10 miles down a road our body has not yet traveled. In Buddhist thought, mindfulness is the quiet, continuous gathering of your scattered energy back into the exact moment you are living in. You do not need the illusion of a guaranteed future to be safe. You only need the pure awareness of the present breath. Non-attachment means releasing the heavy demand to know exactly how your story ends, and instead honoring the small, immediate truth of where your feet are planted right now. Imagine a traveler walking through a vast, dense forest at midnight. The night sky is thick with clouds, and there is no moon to guide the way. The traveler holds a single small lantern. The light from this little flame only illuminates the ground exactly one step ahead. It does not light up the distant horizon. It does not reveal the clearing a mile away. If the traveler demands to see the edge of the forest before moving, they will stand frozen in the cold dark forever. But if they simply trust the lantern, if they take the one step they can see, and then the next, the small ring of light will move with them. They will navigate the entire dark forest, guided solely by the courage to take one step at a time. We are that traveler. Our obsession with certainty is our refusal to move. We freeze when the transition between jobs, deep emotional healing, or major life phases feels too dark to navigate. We demand to know exactly how long the period of loneliness will last, or exactly what the new chapter will look like before we commit to it. And by doing so, we completely ignore the small, quiet lantern of our own intuition. We ignore the gentle light of the present moment that is showing us exactly what we need to do today. Think about your own life. Are you refusing to move forward simply because you cannot see the finish line? What is the one, single, quiet step sitting immediately in front of you that you are ignoring because you are too busy staring in terror at the dark horizon? Are you abandoning the present moment because the future has not sent you an invitation? Pause, breathe, lower your gaze from the distant future. Bring your attention back to your own feet. You do not need to solve the next 10 years today. Let the vast unknown exist quietly in the dark. Do your part, then release the need for perfect vision. Simply ask yourself, what is the right thing to do in this exact moment? Take that step, because true safety is not seeing the entire path. It is trusting yourself enough to walk the path as it naturally unfolds. And learning to trust that unfolding brings us to our final truth. 9. Trusting the unfolding and staying with yourself. Let us return to the heavy exhaustion you have been carrying. At the very beginning, we spoke about the walls you have been desperately trying to build, the frantic need to construct a bridge over the wild river of uncertainty. You have spent so much of your life trying to engineer a flawless future, believing that if you could just predict the next wave, you would finally feel secure. You have braced for imaginary storms. You have jumped out of your own boat to fight the ocean. You have demanded a map for a forest that can only be navigated with a single, small lantern. Look at how tired you are. Look at how much energy it has taken to fight the very nature of life itself. But what if the fight is finally over? Buddhist wisdom reminds us that suffering is simply the gap between how we want life to be and how life actually is. We suffer because we refuse to let the universe be fluid. We grip the steering wheel until our hands ache, terrified that if we let go, we will crash. But non-attachment is the gentle, life-altering realization that the wheel was never entirely in our control to begin with. Letting go is not giving up. Letting go is the profound, quiet courage to stop arguing with reality. Imagine standing by the shore one last time, but this time you are no longer frantically gathering dry leaves to build a fragile bridge. You are no longer terrified of the deep, fast-moving water. You simply stand there, feeling the solid earth beneath your feet and listening to the rush of the river. You realize that the river is not your enemy. The water does not want to hurt you, it only wants to flow. And for the first time, instead of trying to control the current, you simply let it pass. You trust that whatever water comes next is exactly the water you are meant to navigate. This is the essence of staying with yourself. True safety was never about eliminating the unknown. True safety is the unwavering promise that no matter what the future holds, you will not abandon yourself in the dark. Think about your own life. Think about the uncertainty that brought you here today, the relationship in transition, the career path that feels blurry, the quiet, uncomfortable waiting room you find yourself sitting in. What if you just let it be exactly what it is? What if you stopped treating this chapter as an emergency? Stop, breathe. Let the heavy weight of trying to control tomorrow fall from your shoulders. You do not have to have it all figured out. You do not have to rehearse the tragedy. You only have to show up for this one moment, drop your anchor deep into your own quiet awareness, and take the single step illuminated by your lantern. Let life meet you where you are. Respect yourself enough to stop chasing a future that is not here yet. Honor yourself enough to simply sit in the boat and weather the storm, knowing that your own presence is the only guarantee you will ever truly need. Peace was never outside of you. It was always waiting for you to stop running. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.